the foundation of love. Communication is key. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship, especially a romantic one. It's the bridge that connects two hearts, allowing them to share their thoughts, feelings, and dreams. Without communication, relationships wither and die, starved of the nourishment they need to thrive. Imagine a garden left untended, its flowers wilting without sunlight and water. That's what happens to a relationship devoid of communication. Open and honest communication is crucial for building trust, resolving conflicts, and deepening intimacy. When partners feel heard and understood, they feel safe and secure in the relationship. They're more likely to be vulnerable, to share their fears and insecurities, knowing that their partner will listen without judgment. This sense of security is essential for a relationship to flourish. Conversely, a lack of communication creates distance and mistrust. Unresolved conflicts fester and grow, leading to resentment and bitterness. Partners may start to feel like strangers living separate lives, their emotional connections slowly eroding over time. Without communication, the very foundation of the relationship begins to crumble. Just as a house needs a strong foundation to stand the test of time, so too does a relationship require a solid base of communication. Without it, the relationship is built on shaky ground, vulnerable to collapse at the slightest tremor. Bridging the gap communication resolves incompatibilities. We often hear about couples breaking up due to irreconcilable differences. While some differences may indeed be too significant to overcome, many perceived incompatibilities stem from a lack of communication or miscommunication. When we fail to communicate effectively, we make assumptions about our partner's thoughts, feelings, and intentions. These assumptions can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and ultimately a breakdown of the relationship. Effective communication allows us to clarify our needs and expectations, understand our partner's perspective, and find common ground. It enables us to bridge the gap between our differences and discover solutions that work for both partners. For example, a couple with different spending habits might clash over finances. However, by openly discussing their financial goals and concerns, they can create a budget that respects both their needs and values. Communication also helps us to appreciate and celebrate our differences. When we understand where our partner is coming from, we're less likely to judge or criticize their perspectives. We can learn to see things from their point of view and appreciate the unique qualities they bring to the relationship. This understanding fosters a deeper connection and strengthens the bond between partners. By fostering open and honest communication, we can transform perceived incompatibilities into opportunities for growth and understanding. We can build bridges instead of walls, creating a stronger and more fulfilling relationship. The silent treatment understanding avoidant communication patterns. One of the most challenging obstacles to effective communication in relationships is the dismissive avoidant attachment style. Individuals with this attachment style often struggle with emotional intimacy and tend to withdraw from conflict or emotional expression. They may shut down, stonewall, or avoid difficult conversations altogether, leaving their partners feeling frustrated, unheard, and unloved. This avoidance stems from a fear of vulnerability and a deep-seated belief that they are fundamentally flawed or unworthy of love. They may have experienced rejection or emotional neglect in childhood, leading them to build walls around their hearts as a form of self-protection. When faced with emotional intimacy or conflict, their instinct is to retreat into their shells, believing that emotional distance is the only way to protect themselves from further pain. This avoidance manifests in various ways, such as giving the silent treatment, dismissing their partner's feelings, changing the subject, or withdrawing physically or emotionally. They may become defensive, offer minimal responses, or shut down completely, leaving their partners feeling alone and disconnected. While this behavior can be incredibly frustrating, it's important to remember that it's not personal, it's a coping mechanism rooted in fear and insecurity. Understanding the underlying reasons for avoidant behavior is the first step towards addressing it. By recognizing that their avoidance stems from a place of fear, partners can approach the situation with empathy and compassion. This understanding lays the groundwork for open and honest communication about their communication styles and how they can better meet each other's needs. Baby Steps, a guide for avoidance to improve communication. Changing ingrained communication patterns can be challenging, especially for those with an avoidant attachment style. However, with conscious effort and a willingness to step outside their comfort zones, individuals can learn to communicate more effectively and build healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Here are a few steps they can take. 1. Acknowledge the problem. The first step is acknowledging that their communication style is causing problems in the relationship. This requires self-awareness and a willingness to take responsibility for their actions. 2. Start small. Trying to change too much too soon can be overwhelming. Instead, focus on making small, gradual changes. For example, start by expressing one positive feeling or thought per day. 3. Practice active listening. Active listening involves paying attention to what your partner is saying, both verbally and non-verbally. Means putting aside distractions, making eye contact, and reflecting back what you hear to ensure understanding. 4. Use I statements. I statements help to communicate feelings and needs without blaming or accusing the other person. For example, instead of saying "you never listen to me," try "I feel unheard when I don't feel listened to." 5. Seek professional help. If communication patterns prove difficult to change on their own, seeking professional help from a therapist can provide valuable guidance and support. Remember, change takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself and your partner and celebrate each small victory along the way.
Vulnerability, the path to deeper connection. Vulnerability is often perceived as a weakness, especially for those with an avoidant attachment style. However, vulnerability is actually a sign of strength and courage. It takes courage to let down your guard, to open your heart to another person and risk getting hurt. But it's in those moments of vulnerability that true intimacy is born. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with our partners, we create a space for deep connection and understanding. We share our deepest fears, insecurities, and dreams, allowing our partners to see us for who we truly are. This level of openness fosters trust, empathy, and intimacy, strengthening the bond between partners. For avoidants, vulnerability can be terrifying. It means facing their deepest fears of rejection and abandonment. However, it's through vulnerability that they can break free from their self-imposed isolation and experience the true joy of human connection. By allowing themselves to be seen and loved for who they are, flaws and all, they open themselves up to a world of intimacy and fulfillment they may never have thought possible. Sharing vulnerable moments, such as discussing fears, dreams, or past hurts, creates a deeper understanding between partners. It allows them to see each other's souls, not just their facades. These moments of shared vulnerability become sacred threads, weaving a tapestry of love, trust, and intimacy that can withstand life's inevitable storms. To speak or not to speak, weighing the pros and cons of communicating. In the realm of relationships, communication reigns supreme as the cornerstone of a healthy and thriving partnership. It serves as the bridge that connects two individuals, fostering understanding, intimacy, and growth. However, like any powerful tool, communication can be wielded for both good and ill, and it's crucial to understand its nuances to navigate its complexities effectively. The benefits of open and honest communication are manifold. It allows us to express our needs and desires, resolve conflicts constructively, and build a deep and meaningful connection with our partners. When we communicate effectively, we create a safe space for vulnerability where both partners feel heard, understood, and valued. This fosters trust, intimacy, and emotional security, strengthening the foundation of the relationship. However, communication is not without its potential downsides. If not handled with care, it can be used to hurt, manipulate, or control. Unkind words spoken in the heat of the moment can leave lasting scars, eroding trust and damaging the very fabric of the relationship. Moreover, constant criticism, negativity, or blame can create a toxic environment that stifles growth and breeds resentment. Therefore, it's essential to approach communication with mindfulness and compassion. Choose your words carefully, considering their potential impact on your partner. Practice active listening, seeking to understand their perspective rather than simply waiting for your turn to speak. Remember, communication is not about winning an argument, but about building a stronger and more fulfilling relationship together. The price of silence: consequences of a non-communicative partner. Choosing to remain in a relationship with a partner who consistently refuses to communicate can have significant and detrimental consequences.
The lack of communication creates an environment of emotional distance, mistrust, and resentment, leaving both partners feeling unheard, unvalued, and unloved. Over time, this communication breakdown erodes the foundation of the relationship, leading to a myriad of problems. The lack of emotional intimacy can leave partners feeling lonely and disconnected, as if they're living separate lives under the same roof. Unresolved conflicts fester and grow, creating resentment and bitterness that can poison the well of the relationship. Moreover, the constant frustration and emotional labor of trying to communicate with a non-responsive partner can take a toll on one's self-esteem and mental health. It can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, and hopelessness, as if one's needs and feelings are unimportant or invalid. In some cases, the non-communicative partner's behavior may stem from deeper emotional issues, such as an avoidant attachment style or unresolved trauma. While understanding the root cause of their behavior is important, it doesn't excuse their unwillingness to address the problem or seek help. Ultimately, choosing to stay in a relationship with a partner who refuses to communicate is a decision with potentially high costs. It requires careful consideration of one's own needs and boundaries, as well as a realistic assessment of the likelihood of change. Drawing the line, setting boundaries, and knowing when to walk away. While open communication is crucial for a healthy relationship, it's equally important to recognize when it's time to walk away from a partner who consistently refuses to engage in meaningful dialogue. Staying in a relationship with someone who is unwilling to communicate their needs, feelings, or concerns can be emotionally draining and detrimental to your well-being. Setting clear boundaries is paramount. Communicate your needs and expectations regarding communication, expressing how their lack of engagement makes you feel. Let them know that you're not willing to tolerate being shut out or dismissed, and that you deserve a partner who is emotionally present and invested in the relationship. If your partner continues to resist communication despite your efforts, it's essential to recognize that you cannot force them to change. You can only control your own actions and reactions. Ultimately, you deserve a partner who is willing to meet you halfway, who values open communication and emotional intimacy as much as you do. Establish a firm deadline for your partner to demonstrate a genuine willingness to work on their communication skills. This might involve seeking professional help, actively participating in couples counseling, or making a conscious effort to be more open and engaged in conversations. However, if the deadline passes and you see no significant improvement or willingness to change, it's time to seriously consider walking away. Staying in a relationship where your emotional needs are consistently unmet will only lead to further pain and resentment. Navigating conflict communication as a tool for growth. Conflict is an inevitable part of any relationship. It's how we choose to navigate these conflicts that determines the strength and resilience of our bond. While individuals with an avoidant attachment style may view conflict as something to be avoided at all costs, it's through healthy communication that we can transform disagreements into opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. The key to navigating conflict constructively lies in shifting our perspective. Instead of viewing conflict as a battle to be won or lost, approach it as a collaborative effort to find a solution that works for both partners. This requires active listening, empathy, and a willingness to compromise. Start by expressing your own feelings and needs using I statements, focusing on how their actions or words make you feel. Avoid blaming or accusing language, which will only put your partner on the defensive. Instead, strive for understanding, seeking to see the situation from their perspective. Encourage your partner to do the same, creating a safe space for them to express their own thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment or rejection. Remember, the goal is not to agree on everything, but to understand each other's perspectives and find a compromise that respects both partners' needs. Learning to navigate conflict constructively can transform your relationship from a source of stress and anxiety into a breeding ground for intimacy and growth. It allows you to address issues head-on, strengthen your bond, and build a more resilient and fulfilling partnership. Communication, the lifeblood of a thriving relationship. In the tapestry of love, communication serves as the intricate threads that bind two hearts together. It's the lifeblood that nourishes the relationship, fostering understanding, intimacy, and growth. Just as a garden flourishes with sunlight and water, so too does a relationship thrive on open, honest, and compassionate communication? Throughout this exploration, we've delved into the multifaceted nature of communication, examining its power to bridge differences, heal wounds, and deepen connection. We've explored the challenges posed by avoidant communication patterns, offering guidance on how to overcome these hurdles and build healthier communication habits. We've also highlighted the importance of vulnerability as the pathway to deeper intimacy, encouraging couples to embrace their authentic selves and share their heart's desires and fears. Remember, true connection blossoms in an environment of safety, trust, and mutual respect. While communication is not without its potential pitfalls, its benefits far outweigh its risks. By approaching communication with mindfulness, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand our partners, we can transform our relationships into havens of love, support, and fulfillment. So let us commit to making communication a priority in our relationships. Let us speak our truths with kindness and compassion, listen with open hearts and minds, and strive to understand each other's perspectives. For in the end, it is through the power of communication that we cultivate the deep and lasting love we all deserve.